especially in this industry, in the VA industry, and it's starting to feel like it's saturated already. It's
Mhm.
so hard to get work or clients from Upwork or from OLJ or from JobStreet. It's very important that you build your network now so that you can easily get clients. How do you build your network? Easiest place is to do TikTok. A lot of virtual assistants are going live, like co-working spaces live on TikTok. Just find a group of people that really resonates with you and your values and then join them.
Welcome to Spill the Creativity Podcast, the podcast where we will be having conversations with other creatives that will inspire us, keep us encouraged, and push us to reach our own goals. This is the place where we will be acknowledging the hard truths because while this path is fulfilling, the truth is there's no easy way to do things. It all takes hard work. We are going to be talking about the good and the bad about choosing a creative career. If you're looking for a cup of stimulation for creatives, a warm cup of tea in this otherwise bittersweet pursuit, then you're in the right place. So let's get that cup of tea and get on with the conversation.
Welcome to the podcast, and
Hmm.
maybe you could let the listeners know more about you, what do you do now, and
Sure.
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, first up, again, Tish, thank you so much for inviting me. So, for those who are listening, my name is Mia. I am an executive virtual assistant since 2021, and I'm also a mom. I live in Marikina here in the Philippines. I currently started learning how to free dive. So, looks like that's going to be a very expensive hobby for me, but I'm very excited for that. I also do content creation, so I teach others how to be executive virtual assistants. So I do have my own YouTube channel, I have my TikTok platform teaching others how to be an executive VA.
I found out about Mia, like for people's information, I found out about Mia on TikTok. It was in that era where a lot of people were talking about how to start being a freelancer, how to start having a career online, and like Mia's content was always in there. And I guess like the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I also see like so many content creators about freelancing, being a VA, being a creator, being a, and all that. Pero slowly silang nawawala. But it's good to know that Mia is still here. So like I'm curious like what inspired you to go online and like share about your story. And if I'm not mistaken, like during that time you were already with an agency and you
Yeah.
were very passionate about like telling people about your experience and all that. So what inspired you to do that?
What really inspired me was that I'm able to share how to find work that's work from home during the middle of the pandemic. So that's what really pushed me to start creating content. But my followers really, it happened by luck or by chance. I really started my TikTok because I was bored, bored out of my mind during the pandemic. So I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna start my TikTok channel and talk about whatever opinions I want to talk about. And then one of the first videos, I think that was my fifth video, I created a content about starting work and finding work in the middle of the pandemic. And then this is literally woke up the next day. So I had less than 100 followers when I posted that video. And then I woke up the next day with 7,000 followers. And I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And then that's when I asked permission to that agency if I can post content about them, how to apply, and all of those things. And then the rest was history. I continued creating content. That's because prior to that, I thought being a virtual assistant was only for the lucky few. I've been hearing about it for years, even before the pandemic, that I have a friend who were very lucky at Odesk prior to it being Upwork. So I really thought that it was just specifically for those lucky few who were able to meet someone through Odesk and all of those things. But then I realized that it wasn't just for the lucky few. It was really available for everybody, especially during the time of the pandemic where everybody was working from home. And then
Mm.
people from outside of the Philippines starting to realize that they can actually hire someone who's more efficient, who's more effective in outsourcing here in the Philippines. So that's when I started creating and teaching others so that they can easily find how to become a VA in just one place, and that's me. Because when I started, I couldn't find anyone in the Philippines who was creating content. When I was searching in YouTube, everybody was an American or a British person. teaching how to become a VA, but they can't like really teach you how to do it. They all were selling thousands of dollars worth of courses for you to be able to find out how to become a VA. So I made it readily available for the Filipinos so that they can also start applying in agencies or look for their clients.
That is so interesting. I never knew that people would charge that much just to tell you about things. I don't know. That's strange. But so I'm curious now. So like now you're talking about like you were bored and then you created content and then you did it in the middle of the pandemic. But now I'm like curious, how did you get here? Like how did you end up being a VA? Were you part of the corporate workforce like most of us, or did you like connect with your friends who found jobs in Odes?
This is also a funny story. So I was also like most of the Filipinos here, I came from the call center industry. So, but before being a virtual assistant or after my stint in or years in the call center industry, my passion was really in events, wedding and events. So while working in the call center industry, I've been working part-time in other with other events companies since 2005. And then come 2017, I was able to save up and start my own business. So from the call center industry, 2017, I started my own wedding and events planning business. But when pandemic hit at 2020, that was actually the year that I was supposed to make it big in that industry. In 2019, I already had 60 confirmed and paid events for 2020. So we were looking at ending 2020 at probably 150 events, which was already going to give me what's this good revenue. I will be able to pay off some debt. I'll be able to hire full-time staff. I'll be able to purchase my own car and not rent anymore. But then pandemic hit and all of that 60 weddings were erased. And the sad part was I had to, of course, look for a work from home work because
Yeah.
financially I wasn't able to support myself anymore because that's my bread and butter, the events. So I was looking at Facebook and then I keep seeing this ad that says the name of the company and that's
Uh-huh.
also the name of my daughter. So it caught
Oh,
my
okay.
it caught my eye. And then I looked at it, looked at the job description, searched on YouTube on what they are doing or what an executive assistant does, and it's very similar to what I was doing as a wedding and events planner. And then I applied. So I didn't know anybody who was working in the same industry or working as a VA. I just did my own research. I applied and I was very lucky that in my first try, I was able to get the job.
Oh my gosh, grabe. So wait, okay, so let's go back to the wedding, to the events business. Parang di ako nakaget over doon. So what happened to that? Did you have to refund these people? Or
No,
like,
I didn't
yeah,
have to refund because in our contract, it says that the down payment is non-refundable. During that time, there was really like people were talking about DTI and you have to
yeah.
refund because it's the pandemic and whatever. But based on DTI as well, as long as this contract is signed and it says that it's non-refundable, we don't have to refund anyone.
Yeah, buti na lang.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, guys, that's the importance of your contract. And so make sure that you don't skip this step. And like, okay, speaking of contracts, I feel like that is one of the things that a lot of beginners usually miss out. Like even I, when I started as whatever, like I don't even know what my role was when I was starting out. Basta naghahanap lang ako ng racket. Like parang ano lang, I just trust people based on what they said, based on kung ano
Mm.
yung nilagay sa email, and then I don't even bother like putting together a contract.
Yeah.
That has burned me out so many more times. I can't even recall. Parang it took me a while pa bago ako matuto. So those are like one of the beginner mistakes, I would say. So like
Yeah.
now that we're in the topic of like beginners and all of
Mhm.
that, I feel like you are a very good resource about beginners. So I'm curious, like when people go to you and then ask you questions about being a VA, what are like the usual things that they would ask? Or what are the things that they're mostly curious about as beginners?
Well, you can see it in my content, how to start. Like in the comment section, they were like,
How,
how to
how?
start? How? So yeah, when you want to start to become a virtual assistant, the first thing that you need to do is, of course, learn about the position. They usually think that being a virtual assistant is very similar to being a call center agent. It's not. It's
Oh,
totally like 180 degrees difference between being a call center agent and being a virtual assistant. I think the only similarities is that you have a foreign client, but it's totally different. So you have to learn like Google Workspace, that's non-negotiable, how to reply to emails, how to do calendar management. Those are the basics. And then the rest of the things that you're going to learn with your client. Because clients differ from are different from each other.
Yeah.
They work from different industries. They do use different tools. So as long as you know Google Workspace and maybe one or two project management tools, Asana, Notion, or ClickUp, you're good to go. Because the rest of the tools, you're gonna learn it while you're with your client.
I don't have experience from call center personally, but one of my first few roles as a corporate employee, parang napagdaanan ko maging EA.
Mm,
So, parang I think mas malapit
yeah.
yung EA. It's more, parang coordinator, ganyan.
Yes,
Parang mas malapit yung pagiging coordinator, I would say. Because
exactly.
I was looking at some of the job descriptions also when I was starting out. And then I'm like, kaya ko to. So I think mas ano siya, mas similar siya with that kind of profession. And I think the only difference is that you're doing it from your own house.
Yes.
You're doing it from your own home, and then your client is like miles and miles, like countries, continents away from you. But yeah, that is so interesting.
When you said about being the similarity of your previous work, so yeah, it's very similar to being a wedding and events planner and similar
Yeah.
to a business owner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like because so much of being a wedding planner, okay, so I get it. It's a live event, right? But
Yeah.
like I would say 90%, 80% of the work happens in the back end or like happens
Yes.
in front of the desk, in front of your laptop. The
Yep.
coordination, logistics,
Mhm.
planning, billing, all that. So yeah, that makes so much sense. So like I'm curious now. So you signed up for this company, you
Mhm.
got in, and then so that was it. Most of your VA stint was with this company. Am I right?
Yeah. So I have
Mm,
no other VA stint outside of that company. I did still have my wedding and events planning business,
mm,
but that's already handled by my full-time coordinator. So
mm,
full-time working for this agency. And then I was promoted last year as an operations manager. So I was
mm.
handling a team of executive assistant.
And then now you're on your own. From the outside, I guess, like if that happened to me, I think apart from panicking, there would be a little, I would feel a little bit pressure because like
Yeah.
you are kind of like the poster child of this company's
Yeah.
hiring process, I would say. And now, parang you're leaving, I would say like the comfort, I guess, of this
Mm-hmm.
company. And apart from that, no, apart from like panicking for your situation, a lot of people are also looking up to you.
My mom was the one who was panicking because
Okay.
I had a breakdown, a really, really bad breakdown. So I woke up. I haven't left the company yet, but NDA bound, I really can't say what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I woke up and then I realized I felt like all of the light from my life has been
Mm-hmm.
sucked out. And then I cried. For a good hour, I cried. But that was one of the worst cries ever. I've never cried like that before.
Yeah.
It felt like a really bad heartbreak. I loved the company. I loved it so much. I thought I was going to retire with that company. But I think the direction was already different. That's why I decided to leave. So I just want to make it clear to everyone that's listening. I was the one who left. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't kicked out. I didn't want to go, but I think I was in that position that we weren't going the same direction anymore. So the best route for both the company and me is for me to go. And I didn't want to go. I just got promoted, right? So it was a really bad heartbreak. I didn't know what to do. I was just really lucky that I was able to build a name within that
Mm-hmm.
industry that it was very easy for me to find a job. Very, very lucky. And I was able to build a good network within other freelancers and virtual assistants that they referred me to their clients. So I had like 5, 6 interviews even before my last day. So yeah, I'm very, very happy that I built a network that really helped me
Yeah.
through the transition.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. So my next question was supposed to be like, how do you think did you stand out? And I think that answer already answered this question about you building a name for yourself and was you were able to like build a network. Maybe like my question now is like, how were you able to do that? I mean, if somebody also wants to start building a name for themselves, whether it could be in the VA industry or another industry, like what are your tips for them if they want to do this?
Well, if you are an extrovert, it's so obvious that I'm an extrovert. If you're an extrovert like me, You can easily create content on TikTok. TikTok is a very nice platform to start because virality in TikTok is really fast. Start with TikTok and then probably do some Instagram, but I'm so not for Instagram right now. Yeah, TikTok, focus on TikTok, create a Facebook page, create a really good portfolio. You can use Canva or Wix for free websites, and then start building your network. I think that's the most important thing, especially in this industry, in the VA industry, and it's starting to feel like it's saturated already. It's
Mhm.
so hard to get work or clients from Upwork or from OLJ or from JobStreet. It's very important that you build your network now so that you can easily get clients. How do you build your network? Easiest place is to do TikTok. A lot of virtual assistants are going live, like co-working spaces live on TikTok. Just find a group of people that really resonates with you and your values and then join them. Join their communities. They do have Discord channels. I have my own Discord channel, Facebook community. Some of these virtual assistants who are also trying to make a name in social media are very engaged. So
Mhm.
take the opportunity and start joining these lives and then join their Discord, meet them in person. They will definitely make it easy for you to get clients. Referrals is a very strong way for you to get clients.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I love that you touched on like the next question that I was going to ask, which is like about the industry being saturated. And I feel like most professions are that way. I mean, you can't really say like the health industry is saturated, right? There's always gonna be doctors. And you can't really say that the engineering industry or like the engineering field is saturated. I feel like through time we just evolve in how we present ourselves and how we connect with people and how we get clients. So I think it's just really that. Okay, sorry. So just a quick context. One of the reasons why I'm asking this question is like I do get questions from people saying, is it worth it to still try, knowing that so many people now want to be a VA and all that. And I feel like in any industry, I feel like competition is always gonna be tight. It just so happened that being a VA was kind of it was in its infancy stage during the pandemic, and
Yeah.
now I feel like it's a teenager
Mhm.
na we kind of have to be a bit smarter when
Mhm.
we dive into this industry. And I love what you said about finding a community because I also agree. Like, that's what, you know what? That's where I found you basically. Parang, I did find you on TikTok, but you and I connected on an in person event. And
Yes.
I see you on TikTok. I don't have a picture, but like, I don't know. Like, and both of us were extroverts. So, like, that was totally fine. I feel like
Yep.
for introverts, find a thing that works for you also.
Yeah.
I feel like introverts work better like behind the screen. So
Yeah.
I like also what you mentioned, like if there's a chance to join their lives or if there's a chance to join like their Discord communities, then do that. So
It's so true.
sorry, going back to the saturation thing. Yeah, that was supposed to be one of my questions. I'm not gonna ask you anymore whether you think if the VA industry or like this online industry is saturated because I think the data speaks for itself
Yeah.
already that more people are starting to join. But I guess my question now is how do you deal? How do you deal with like kind of like related to the earlier question, like how do you deal with like more competition and I would say
Yeah, younger.
like new breed of VAs. Like even for me, no, parang I'm in the podcast industry and I could tell that there are a lot of new things
Mhm.
and I'm inspired also to also keep up. So how's
Yeah.
it like for you in the VA context, man?
Number one, don't stop learning. I stopped learning how to be an executive virtual assistant when I became an operations manager. So it was
Mm-hmm.
really hard for me to become an executive assistant again when I left the agency.
Oh, okay.
I saw that some of the EAs that I handled while I was an operations manager learn or know so much more than
Mm-hmm.
I do. So I had to go through was it my own course and really refresh. And then I had to learn a lot of new tools. Within that span of 8 months, there were so many new tools that was launched, like
Yeah.
ClickUp and all of those things. And I had to learn all of
Chat
them.
GPT.
ChatGPT, we have Gemini also. So I had to learn all of them. So if you want to always be a competitive executive virtual assistant or VA, you have to keep learning. You can't just stop and say, no, I've been doing this for 5 years. But the tools that you know are still what? Asana, Notion, Google Workspace. That no longer works. You
Yeah.
have to learn more tools. You need to learn AI, automation, all of those things. Create a good portfolio networking. I was supposed to say something, but I totally forgot. But I'll remember that later.
I guess you're speaking from the perspective of somebody who already has experience, like in terms of like building your portfolio
Yeah.
and studying and always be learning about these new tools. How about for the people naman na like completely newbies? Like it's
Mm,
their first time to dip their toes into this whole VA
yeah.
world. Like, and I guess for them it might be a bit harder because yeah, they,
Yeah.
they
So
don't have that much experience yet. Yeah.
what I always hear before is most of the content creators that I was seeing when I was still starting as a content creator as well, they always say that before you start, you need to know your niche. That's so hard to do, especially if you are not under the creative side. If you're not a social media manager, if you're not a graphic artist or a video editor, it's so hard to find your own niche. So you always start as a general VA. When I was doing teaching and mentoring, what I realized is you actually have to find the niche of the industry that you want to target. So you have to do it the other way around. So if you're starting to make things easier for you and so that you can highlight what you're good at, try to find out what industry have you been working with. Like for example, with me, I've been working in the wedding and events planning industry for what, more than 10 years. So instead of me looking for my own niche, I'm going to target those clients in the weddings and events industry in the US. And going back was it's connecting this with the saturation. You have to realize that a lot of clients doesn't know or don't know that they need a virtual assistant. So you should be able to target those industry that you have experience with. Like with me, I connect with wedding and events planners through Instagram. And then I send out proposals there and highlighting that I was a wedding events planner here in the Philippines, but now I'm a full-time virtual assistant. So here is what I can do for you. If you're a nurse, target clinics, dentists. A lot of dentists are looking for VAs now. Target them. Highlight your experience as a nurse, what you've learned, you've graduated from. There are a lot of clients in the veterinary industry in the US. That's something that you can also target. So find out what niche or industry you came from and then target those clients. It will be easier for you to highlight your skills and your experience. That's your value proposition against
Right.
the other VAs that are applying for the same role.
This is so interesting. What I'm picking up from this conversation is that there are so many opportunities everywhere. We just kind of have to be open to like where we can find them. Because I guess from where I'm coming from, personally, I'm targeting those with like, like the usual businesses, I would say.
Mhm.
Because I never really thought about maybe a dentist would want to start a
Yeah.
podcast or, those things. So what I'm trying to get here at is there's so many opportunities and the opportunities I believe are like endless
Yeah,
with
it is.
this. Yeah. Parang
Just
you just
just to give you like a story, when I was mentoring some students
Mhm,
on virtual assistant one on one,
mhm,
one of the students asked me, Miss Mia, my background, because I thought that then look for the niche that you have experience. And then she goes, Miss Mia, my background is in the funeral parlors. And I'm like, darling, that's a niche. Nobody has entered. You have no competition. So I taught her how to look for funeral businesses in the US. You know, she had the experience. So she was
mhm.
able to highlight and get the client easily because of that.
I feel like the businesses are also evolving. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
example, yeah, let's go back to the dentist thing that we were talking about. Like, for the longest time, we thought that they only need like physical or like secretaries who are there. Like, we don't really realize that there are other work that the in-person secretaries can no longer handle, which they can outsource to people like you, people like us. There are so many ways for us to find jobs. We just really have to be open to it. Parang there's really a way for everybody to get job at this point.
Yeah,
We just kind of have to be resourceful and we have to also be like willing to learn, of course.
correct.
So now I'm curious about this previous company was your first stint as a VA
Mhm.
and then you stayed with it for years.
Yeah.
Would you recommend, I would say, like the same route?
Nice question. A lot of people are asking this from me. I wouldn't say that one is better than the other, because they both have equally same pros and cons based on my personal experience. So I have experience with looking for a direct client and then experience with working in an agency. The only thing that would help you decide what direction to take is your readiness. So if you are someone who came from a corporate industry, you want to become a virtual assistant, but you're not yet ready to be your own boss. When I say be your own boss, you're not ready to create your own contracts. You're not ready to look for your own clients. You're not ready to create your own SOPs or your own processes. If you're not ready to do that, then it's best that you start with an agency so that you still have that comfort of the feeling of still being with a company just remotely. If you're someone who's ready to become your own boss, you want to have a say with all of your process. You want to be the one to look for your own clients. You want to set your own rates. You're comfortable in creating your own contract, doing things on your own, and not being managed by other people, then it's best that you take the direction of looking for your own clients. It's going to be a little bit harder looking for your own clients, but it's also hard applying in a virtual assistant
Yes.
agency. So,
Yeah.
the starting point is basically the same. Some people are lucky to find clients immediately, probably in 1, 2 weeks, 1 month. Some people are also lucky to get hired immediately during their first time in an agency. But some people will have it harder. They might try applying in an agency 5 times, 6 times before they get hired, or they might be waiting to get a direct client in 3, 6 months. Very, very similar. It's just
Yeah.
really up to you where you feel like you are based on the career direction that you want to take.
That makes so much sense. And I guess like another important thing, na you also have to kind of know your personality. Like, are you more of a leader type or are you more of a follower type? Maybe. If you're the kind of person who would like to lead, then maybe going independently is the route
Yep.
to go because you set the standards basically. You set
Yeah.
your hours, you tell the client what you want, and then you
Mhm.
compromise, and then whereas if you apply for an agency, probably you're more on the follower side where
Yep.
you want to be more flexible in the way na you have more time freedom and all that, but
Mhm.
you still kind of crave for that leader
Guidance. Yeah.
figure. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
guidance. Yeah. To tell you what to do. And like,
Mhm.
I'm also wondering because I saw one of your TikToks and then you were talking about the benefits also of being part of an agency. So you
Yeah.
did share something about HMOs
Yeah.
and all that. So maybe that's something for them to consider as well. I feel like if you want to go independently, that could be a
Mhm.
factor on how you price yourself. Since you don't have free HMO, then maybe you want to factor that into your pricing, or you're gonna have to get more
Yeah.
clients so you can pay for your own
But
HMO or something like that.
talking about HMO, that's why people are very scared to go direct, to look for a direct client because of that benefit. Number one is HMO. That's because people think that HMO is only available for companies. Like a company will only be able to get you an HMO. But you can get an HMO directly as well, even if you're not part of a company. So
Mm.
since I think the past 2 years, a lot of HMO already sees that there is big growth in the virtual assistant industry or the freelancer industry. So they open doors for individuals to get HMO. Um, like right now with my direct client, I included in the package as well the like what you mentioned, include in your rate the HMO. HMO that I have, or the package that I have, is around 23,000 per individual for the whole year. And then I got for my husband and for my daughter. So it's not that expensive.
Yeah.
I'm paying it probably around 5,800 pesos per quarter.
Mm-hmm.
If you're earning in dollars as a virtual assistant and you have a really good rate, that 5,800 pesos for your health is cheap.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. And yeah, like I mentioned, parang you could factor that into your costing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're gonna go to the independent route. But yeah, that that's a very good information because I feel like that's also something that a lot of people don't really think about. Like like most of the time you just think about, oh, ito yung take home pay ko, and then I'm good. And then something
Yeah.
yung magkakasakit, and then wala.
All of your savings are gone. So
Yes.
it's better to, already pay for that HMO out of pocket.
Yep.
Meaning you don't need to be with an agency or a company to be able to get an HMO. Just make sure that you budget wisely.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of budget, uh, yeah, I'm curious about like what are your thoughts about so okay, so being a VA, or I would say like being an online entrepreneur, online creator, online employee at this point, um we kind of have this I would say we kind of have this image that we earn a lot. And I think it's also because of the content that most people would bring out, that when they
Yeah.
did an online job, they earn in dollars, they earn
Mhm.
this much, they earn this many figures and all that.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts about those messaging? Because personally, like, I would say that they are very effective. Like, that's what, to be completely honest, like that's one of the reasons why I explored this
Mhm.
route. Apart from time freedom, of course, who doesn't want financial freedom, right?
Correct.
But then, honestly, when I got here, I'm like, for me, I just want to share my experience. I do get like, well, not the month to be, I know, but like, I do get like a good amount of
Yeah.
money. But again, since this is kind of like, I'm seeing this not just as a job, but like as a business,
Mhm.
um, after you deduct everything, it's like, oh, okay, so this is enough. But yeah, so I'm curious about you. Like, what are your thoughts about? First is like people who maybe are misleading people with this whole six-figure thing, and
Yeah.
then second is like, how do we make it into reality? Kasi,
Mhm.
pwede naman eh, kaya naman talaga. Yeah.
Yes. First and foremost, etong mga clickbait, um, they tell you six figures, just work from home and all of that. It sounds amazing working from
Mhm.
home and earning six figures. Yes, you can reach that, but it's gonna take years before you get there. That's why I never really, when I was starting creating content, I never really told people that, this is how much you're gonna earn. Because in the first place, I was with an agency. So it was just
Mhm.
really fixed amount. But if you're going to compare how much you're earning in an agency to when you are in a call center industry, it's better, if you look at the whole package, it's better to work with an agency because you're, number one, you're working from home. You don't have to
Mhm.
go through all of the traffic and all of those
Mhm.
things. And then you're earning so much more. I think you're earning twice than what you're earning in a call center industry. If you go to the route of looking for a direct client, you're going to earn so much more. But it takes a lot of hard work. It's not like you get a client today, you're six figures tomorrow. It's not like that. So you really have to build a name. If you have one client, you have to understand that that client cannot be with you forever. So you have
Yes.
to make sure you build a good relationship with your client so that when your client decides, hey, I no longer need a VA, my business is shutting down, I have to let you go, we're cost cutting and all of those things. If you build a good name and a good relationship with your client will definitely say, okay, I don't want you to have to lose a job. I'm going to refer you to another client or my friend who's also looking for a VA. So you have to take care of your name. If you don't take care of your name, you're not going far in this industry. You always have
Yeah.
to think of this industry as a business. It's not an employee employment relationship even if you have a client. So you have to
Yeah.
take care of this as you have to think of this as your business and you build long lasting relationships with your clients.
I just want to add, like, even if you take care of your name, even if you have good relationship with your client, shit happen. You know, honestly, because and this just happened to me very recently. Like, I guess this is also the reason why I'm kind of very flaky on social
Mm,
media in terms of showing up, because I also experienced like my client and I have really good what do you call this? We have really good relationship and all that. But she got into an accident. So she really has to pause. So alangan naman na i-force mo yung contract mo,
mm,
di ba? Na,
correct.
oh, hindi. Sabi mo, 6 months tayo work together. But she got into an accident and then she can't record anymore. Or like, she has
Mm,
to pause her business. She has to
yeah.
pause that part of her life. So in effect, you also get to have, you have to pause working with
Mm,
this person. Or like last year, what happened to me naman, or no, it wasn't last year. It was my first year of being a podcast manager also.
Mhm.
So like, unfortunately, my client got COVID, and it was the COVID that hits your throat.
Yeah.
So she literally couldn't talk. She
Mhm.
literally couldn't record a podcast episode. So I guess like what I'm trying to say here is you really have to be prepared
Mhm.
emotionally also
Correct.
when you choose this route, because even if your systems are set up, you have the perfect workflow, you have really good relationship, things happen talaga, like
Yeah.
COVID, ganyan. Parang I guess like even for you, Mia, when you were in your events industry, you were on
Mm.
your way to earning
Making it
having the
big.
best year of your life. Yeah, and then shit really happened. So
Yeah.
I think more than that, parang you also have to set aside for a rainy day. And I think that's also one of the things that I want to get at. Na,
Yeah.
yes, we do get paid a lot, but
Mhm.
it's really up to us how to manage those. Kasi, to be honest, hindi talaga araw-araw Pasko.
True. That's so
And
true.
pero parang, hindi din siya parang corporate na you're gonna be given 2 weeks notice
Yeah.
or like a month's notice. So there's time for you to kind of panic and then be put together
Correct.
and then adjust. But like in this, you're just like, you know what? I got sick. I'm not gonna do this
Yeah.
anymore. Bye-bye.
Don't do what I did. I haven't really saved for a rainy day, but I'm starting
Mm-hmm.
to learn now.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. For me naman, I did save for a rainy day, but ano pa rin, as an emotional person, nakaka-shock
Yeah.
pa din. Like, especially, yun nga, you built a good relationship and then parang, your client also ends up being your friend and,
Yeah.
like suddenly it's not pushing through anymore. So
Correct.
it really affects you. And before when this happens, it takes me a week because I'm a really emotional person. So it takes me a week to like process things and then
Mhm.
iiyak ako once, twice, maybe even 3 times
Mm.
before I move on. Like, now, parang mas na-accept ko na the life I chose. Parang this is what, parang, I guess like this wasn't the first time. Like
Mhm.
when I experienced it at first, parang dun ko din natutunan na this won't be the first time that this is happening. So I
Yeah.
better get my shit together. Yeah, so I like where this conversation is also going because we started with how there's so much possibility in the
Mhm.
industry, and that is true din naman. And I think like this is a side that nobody really talks about. That yes, we get paid a lot, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But we
parang
worked hard for that.
yes, we work hard, and parang there are also a lot of different factors to think about. It's not just, and I'm not saying that, I mean, I'm not demeaning corporate work or whatever, but when you do have a corporate job, you just go to the office and then you get
Mm.
paid every 15th and 30th.
Yeah.
Whereas if you choose this route, if you get sick, hindi ka mag-report, tapos per hour
Mm.
pa yung bayad sa'yo, may sakit ka na, wala ka pang pera.
And sometimes when you get sick, you have to work. You have
Yes.
no excuse because you're working from home. You can work while you're lying down in bed. But yeah,
Yeah.
like what we mentioned, you have to consider this as a business all the time.
And I think like, okay, so that is a really bad situation if you have to work when you're sick. So again, going back to having good relationship with your client, because if you have good relationship with your clients are gonna let you rest.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
always include in your contract your paid time off. Don't forget
Yeah.
to include that in your
Yeah.
contract. It can't just be you're working per hour or all of those things. You have to also include there, for example, you have your amount and then you have your paid time off that you are allowed to have a paid time off set amount of days per year. Make sure that you include that in your contract.
Oh, so these are like your leaves.
Yes. One more thing to add in your contract, especially for those who are starting, a lot of questions have been asked saying that how do I ask for an increase? I'm
Mm.
shy to ask for an increase. Remember, this is your business. You can put in your contract whatever it is that you want. Your client is open to negotiate, but always include in your contract your amount, your service fee, your paid time off, as well as the increase that you're going to get on a yearly basis. For example, every year you are going to get an increase at 10%, a 10% increase. And your
Mm.
contract should only last for a year, 6 months or a year. So that once that year ends, you negotiate or you create a new contract with a new amount since the client signed the contract that an increase of 10% will be applied after a year of working.
I guess one of the things really is if you're choosing this route, you have to protect yourself at all costs. So like,
Yes.
even if you have your friends, even if you have your network, and again, even if you have a good relationship with your client, you can't really tell. Like there are so
Mm,
many unpredictable things that's gonna happen. So the
true.
least you can do is to be prepared for any of those situations to
Correct.
happen. It is possible. Yeah.
That's so true.
I'm super loving this conversation, but I kind of have to wrap this up. But before that, if you were to give advice to the people who wants to explore this profession, so I know that you
Mhm,
already gave advice earlier, but like, how about like for the people, number one, who have
mhm,
doubts if being a VA is still worth it? I think that is the operative word. Like, is it
mhm.
still worth it to try now that more people are into it? And second is it still worth it to try out knowing that, there are AIs available. There are
Mm,
more digital tools. Like the
yeah.
people still need us.
Oh,
Maybe that is the concern. So, what is your advice for people who have like all those uncertainties going on in their head before
mhm.
they finally dip their toes and try it out?
Number one, this is something that I learned from other content creators like Mary. You have to make sure that if you are in a corporate setting, don't dive into this like head first. Like, I will resign today, then I'll start looking tomorrow. No. Start
Oh
looking
my
for a
god.
part time gig. Try the feel, see if you're going to enjoy it, and then take the leap of faith if you already have a stable client. Don't resign immediately. Not a very smart move. Okay, so don't resign it. It's just like what I did with my business, with my weddings and wedding and events planning business. I was doing it part time, and then when I had a number of clients already that looks like it's going to be stable for the rest of my life, then that's when I took the leap of faith and resigned and started my own business. But then look what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Pandemic happened. We never thought that pandemic was going to happen. And then now we are in this industry. Always treat this as a business. So make sure that you learn everything about the role before jumping or before transitioning from being a corporate person to being a freelancer or a remote worker. When it comes to AI, I've been learning a lot of AI tools, but AI tools is not going to work without a person.
Yeah.
So AI
They
tools
can't
is
think
there.
for
Yes,
themselves.
they can think for themselves. No matter how amazing ChatGPT or Gemini is, they will not work if nobody inputs the correct prompt. So these AI tools still need the help of somebody who is a person, not an AI, to be able to work. So the first thing that you need to do is learn the AI tools. Don't be afraid of learning the AI tools. Learn how to use ChatGPT, Gemini, Fireflies. I love Fireflies. If you're an aspiring VA, one of the things that you're going to do is create minutes of the meeting. Fireflies is your best friend. So learn these different AI tools. So because a lot of companies already requires a lot of virtual assistants or assistants to know how to navigate these AI tools. Because again, these things will not work without the help of someone. So yeah, that's my advice for those who want to start.
Wow. And that is already a lot. So I would say like if you are currently overwhelmed, because I would say like apart from this podcast, there are still a lot of different resources out there. I would say like take all the information one small bite at a time.
Yeah,
And yeah, and see which one fits for your current situation. Because
correct.
again, like we're all going through different things. And yeah, see which one best fits you. And I totally agree with like not quitting right away.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's what I did. And that is because of my personality also. Because I'm the type of person who is an all or nothing person. But like because I had nothing else, it was kind of that thing that pushed me to really
Yeah.
go for it. Because I knew for myself that if I had corporate as my
Oh,
fallback,
you have a backpack.
parang
Yeah.
I wouldn't really strive hard or parang
Yeah.
hindi ako magiging as motivated.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it really depends. Like what you tama yung sinabi mo. Like it depends on your personality. If you're someone who's like you, who as long as you have a safety net, you're not gonna go all in
Mm.
another direction, then probably the best route for you is to just resign immediately. But practically
Yeah.
speaking, don't do.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, like, be smart. And I think go with your gut. Kasi ako, I went with my gut. And, girl, feeling ko like if we were together in person, babatukan mo ko or something. Because no safety net. I was just like, I'm quitting. I'm doing this thing. Yeah. But, yeah, but it worked well naman for me. Although I really would not.
Won't recommend you.
Yeah, I really would not recommend it because like the mental and emotional
Mm.
turmoil, turmoil, it was intense. Pero again, it was what drove me to like really strike hard. Parang because of that, nagka-client ako in 30 days. But yeah, imagine if I didn't get the client though. So nasa
But
na ako
imagine
ngayon.
if you do it like this year, like today, that's going to be extra hard.
Yeah,
Because
that's
during that
true.
time, there were very small competition. But right now, it's going to be so hard. So you really
Yeah.
have to make a very smart move.
Yes, yes. I agree. And now is the best time, I would say, to start. A
Yeah.
lot of people are saying, wala na, nalipasan na tayo. Or parang,
No. Ang
yeah,
dami pang clients. Honestly, I'm helping a lot of people look for their clients. And there's so many clients
mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah,
out there. So don't be scared. How will
yes.
these agencies, like the agency I came from, and other agencies na nagpa-pop out ngayon, why do you think they are still there? That's because there are so many clients. They are banking on their expertise looking for clients kasi nga yung iba hirap maghanap ng clients. So they'll take in the opportunity na parang, oh, sige, I have the connections. I'll look for clients and then, ayan. So that's why they are able to create agencies because there are so many clients out there.
Yeah, that's so true. And kasi, like, one of the things that I also see is like people are discouraged kasi yun nga, parang hindi nila naabutan yung infancy stage nitong
Mhm.
industry na parang they feel like, wala na. Parang the hype is gone or you know, like it's gone. But people need us. And again, like the businesses are evolving. So,
Correct.
yeah.
You know what? Even Filipinos are now looking for VAs. It's
Yeah,
super
that's
funny. I
true.
was just looking through Upwork yesterday, and then I was seeing like Philippine company VA blah blah blah. I'm like, that's interesting. I was also following one of the TikTok content creators, Michelle K, the dancer. She hired
Mhm.
a virtual assistant. So there's
Yeah.
market even in the Philippines.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Mia, thank you so much for
Thank
this
you.
conversation. I
Thank you.
learned so much from you. I never knew that vets are looking for VAs. That's
Yes.
so interesting. And like, and yun, there's
Funeral parlors.
funeral parlors. My God. Wait. Can you indulge me for a moment? What
Yeah.
does a VA do with funeral parlors?
More on admin work, like filing the documents, especially in the
Uh,
US with all of the documentations, like logistics, booking the driver to
booking.
pick
Yeah.
up, like the scheduling and all of those things. So everything is done online. The only thing that you cannot
Perfect.
do is just be there during
The
the
embalming.
burol, the embalming. You can't be there. But like purchasing, ordering the items that they need for embalming, ordering the caskets, all of those things, all of
Yeah.
that you can do online.
Oh my gosh, I remember. Okay, this is like a weird turn of the conversation, but like I remember, one of my relatives passed away last year, and merong iburol. Have you heard?
Oh yeah, we were doing that. I was a wedding and events planner, diba? So during the
Yeah.
pandemic, that was my business. Mga
Oh.
iburol.
Yeah, tapos
Yeah.
yung mga flowers na ipapadala, no?
Yeah.
Kaya naman sila pa yung mag-aano nun. Like, so,
And the scheduling during that the burol kasi may iburol and then there were in person also. But
yeah,
hindi ka pwede, limited ka ng tao sa loob.
right.
So my coordinators were hired to do the papalabasin na yung mga ibang people kasi papasok na yung ibang people.
Parang
And then my
partials.
scheduling. Oo. Tapos, if you want to visit, you have to go through my coordinator and schedule. Titingnan mo if may slot pa at this time. And you can only stay for 30 minutes. Ganon. I was doing that. That was my bread and butter during the pandemic.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Yeah.
Possibilities are endless.
Yes. So
My
true.
God. Yeah, okay. I love that we're ending this episode with so much possibility that there is a room. There is room for everyone as
Yeah.
long as you are.
You work hard for it. Don't
Yeah,
think
or
that
if
this is easy.
yes, or as long as if you're willing to look for those rooms, to look for
Yeah.
those doors, because they are there. We just have to look for them. So
True.
Mia, thank you again for
Thank
this
you, Tish. Thank you so
conversation. I
much.
loved it so much. Before I let you go, maybe you could let other people know where they can find you. If you have any offers, if you have courses or
Yeah.
resources that aspiring VAs can refer to after this episode.
Perfect. So again, thank you so much, Tish. I enjoyed this session. If you want to learn how to become an executive VA, or remote worker, a freelancer, all you have to do is check out my TikTok channel. It's at Mia Juan 26. If you want free tutorials, I also have one on YouTube. You can also search Mia Juan 26 on YouTube. And then if you want to join my community, I have a community on Facebook. It's Executive Virtual Assistant Community. I also have a Facebook page. It's Mia Juan. And then I also have a Discord channel. You will find my Discord channel on my TikTok link in bio, or I think Tish will also provide the links in the caption. I'm all over social media.
Yeah.
If you want to talk to me anytime, I'm always on my Discord channel.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much, Mia. And again, if you didn't get any of that, everything will be linked in the show notes. So thanks again, Mia, for
Thanks,
being
Tish.
here in the podcast with us, and to everybody who is curious or who wants to finally dip their toes into the whole VA situation. This is your sign. This is your sign that possibilities are endless. And this is your sign that it may or may not be for you based on our conversation. So yeah, we'll see you again next time. Bye.
See you. Thanks, Tish. Bye.
Thanks again for listening to Spill the Creativity podcast. If you like this episode, I would really appreciate it if you can give me a 5-star rating on Spotify and a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. Or you can also take a screenshot and tag me on Instagram at Spill the Creativity Podcast, and you can also try the special filters if you want. Thanks again for listening to this episode, and make sure to catch fresh drops every Thursday morning. Bye!